Welcome to the final episode of my new series, A Path to Sustainable Life Satisfaction. Today, I'm going to talk about active self-reinforcement, a critical component in helping you achieve sustainable life satisfaction. If you've been following each episode, you can see they all involve making better choices for yourself and taking charge of your life. That's why today's topic of active self-reinforcement is so important. I began learning about self-reinforcement in graduate school while studying anger control for my thesis. Self-reinforcement is an effective tool used in controlling anger, and it's been around for decades. Albert Bandura, the father of social learning theory, talked about the importance of having tangible reinforcers at our disposal as rewards. However, the definition of self-reinforcement has been interpreted as positive feedback. When I was learning to teach self-reinforcement, I was told to teach people to self-evaluate their performance. If their performance was worthy of praise, they were to tell themselves, "Good job." This served as a verbal pat on the back. That seems to make sense, right? Except that it doesn't. I've come to realize that Bandura was the father of social learning theory for a reason. In the animal kingdom, when we want to reinforce an animal, we give them a tangible reward, like a bone or a treat. When we want to reinforce children, we give them more than just praise. We reward them with clothing or eating out, or sometimes maybe even a trip. In other environments, like the workplace, for example, tangible reinforcers are paired with verbal praise. I agree with Bandura's theory. Self-reinforcement cannot work for people who are only being rewarded verbally. People usually look for feedback outside of themselves. Yet, if they are dissatisfied with their overall performance in life, whatever positive feedback they receive is quickly dismissed. I like to tease my clients by telling them if they heard a particular compliment 1,000,000 times, it will never be enough. Human beings are not easily fooled by receiving compliments that they feel they did not deserve, because they just reinforce feelings of inadequacy or what you may have heard called imposter syndrome. I found that everybody struggles to some degree, like feeling like a fraud or an imposter in their lives. Why is this? Because people don't feel effective in all areas of their lives, and as a result, they feel like a fraud when receiving compliments because they believe they're not deserving of them in a holistic way. For example, you could be effective at work, but if your house is not in order, you weigh the compliments on your job in light of not holding yourself to a bar in your home. Erroneous thinking like this causes people to be perpetually disappointing themselves. But doing the self-work taught me that the best judge of your performance in life is you. You are your best evaluator. This calls for you to be honest with yourself and evaluate how you may be disappointing yourself. Then stop. Once you get to the core of you, telling yourself you're doing a good job is just not enough. You must dispel the thinking you've learned and replace this with active self-reinforcement. Here's how. Develop a list of tangible reinforcers and use them as you're becoming the you that you want to be. A great place to start is use them when you're completing the components that I've suggested. Here are some simple examples of tangible reinforcers. Buy yourself a gift or a treat. Take yourself on an outing. Cook yourself a special meal. Get a 10-minute back massage. In other words, create rewarding me time in ways that actively reinforce your acknowledgement of your value and the work you're doing to become your best self Whatever you decide to do, make sure you identify the act as something that you're doing as a reward. Tell yourself you're doing this activity because you're doing a good job working toward achieving your potential. It's important to recognize that you have the same value as anyone to whom you would give these tangible rewards. You are giving yourself these rewards when you've decided that you've earned them. If you work for them, then you have to be willing to accept that praise from yourself. Don't delegate reinforcement to others. Learn to own it. The decreased need for approval from others and the increase in self-reliance to determine the reward for your actions serves to increase self-confidence and decrease feelings of inadequacy. Adding this to the tools that we've discussed will help you achieve sustainable life satisfaction, and we all want this more than anything.